Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Variety's Awards Circuit. Now breaking down the nominees for the 78th Annual Golden Globe Awards. I'm Michael Schneider, Senior Awards Editor here at Variety.
And I'm Danielle Turchiano, Senior Features Editor here at Variety. And today we're looking at the Drama Series category. First up is Netflix's The Crown, which is now seeing its fourth nomination in this category for its fourth season.
Your Majesty.
This season, it really came in refreshed and in a lot of ways with a new energy, especially just because of its new cast members. Emma Corrin came in as Princess Diana, and Gillian Anderson came in as Margaret Thatcher, and they scored nominations in the lead drama actress category as well, alongside Olivia Colman, who is back for Queen Elizabeth II. And then we have Josh O'Connor, who returned, but now is in the lead category for his role as Prince Charles. So really this season proves everything that the HFPA loves about the show. It's these big, bold, political and personal family themes with this refreshing cast of characters. And, you know, Olivia Colman won the Golden Globe last year, so it feels like this show still has a lot of heat in the race. Clearly, it's still on their radar, even though it, streamed a few months ago.
Some of us who are now of a certain age lived through some of those moments, and so it was fun to see how they interpreted it on this show. Switching gears quite a bit now, very excited to see Lovecraft Country from HBO nominated here. This is a show that was so unique, unlike anything else we've seen on television, a show that dealt with the horrors of racial discrimination, inequality, and violence with the actual trope of horror films and television. And the way they mastered this was, again, a tour de force. And that includes the acting. I was really, on the flip side, disappointed to not see acting nods for Jurnee Smollett, who was a revelation in this, Jonathan Majors, who was fantastic as the star. But I'll take this nomination. And again, if you haven't seen Lovecraft Country yet, it's worth your time. It's probably not at all what you were expecting and much better than anything you could have imagined.
It's true. I mean, they really did a lot, both with the historical perspective of the show and then the genre perspective of the show. And, genre is a category that doesn't get or hasn't historically gotten a ton of awards love, but this year it's getting more than usual. I mean, The Mandalorian, Disney Plus's drama series, is also nominated in this category for the first time.
Show me the one whose safety deemed such destruction.
It's really a show that's on a hot streak. I mean, it earned an Emmy nom last year. Then it dropped its second season in the fall, and its second season was bigger, better than ever, really. I mean, it's a Star Wars show, so you expect a lot of battles, lightsabers, a huge face-off in the finale. You got all that. You also expect some classic cameos, and you really got all that as well. And I know when we did this in phase one, we didn't want to spoil who that cameo was. I guess I won't spoil it here either, but clearly, the HFPA was paying attention. They watched it. They loved it. We got more of an understanding of everyone's favorite pop culture hero, the child, who goes by many names now. It's really a show that's been in the headlines a lot. I mean, admittedly, lately it's been in the headlines for some controversy around one of its stars as well. But it's a show that everyone's talking about, and it feels like it's the show that everybody will be talking about for a long time.
Yeah, and indeed, unfortunately, the one thing is they still didn't figure out how to give a supporting actor nod to Grogu, Baby Yoda. But switching gears again, this is a stacked category. Another show that could be considered a front runner is Ozark, of course, on Netflix.
You moved here to start over, and it's been hard.
As the mystery of the show gets darker and deeper, and you wonder how it's all going to end, it's sort of a fun masterclass in unique dark storytelling, with Laura Linney, Jason Bateman, Julia Garner, all garnering, no pun intended, nominations this year in the acting category. This is a show that's also been well recognized by a number of award shows, including the Globes, again in nominating Laura Linney for Best Actress, Jason Bateman for Best Actor, and Julia Garner in the supporting category. Don't sleep on Ozark. It's a true top contender as well.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's one of those shows where it's nearing the end of its run. So, if you haven't been watching it this whole time, now's your chance to catch up. On the flip side, the last nominee in this category is Ratched from Netflix, which is in its freshman year.
May I ask why you're headed to Lucia?
It's the origin story of Nurse Mildred Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But it comes from Ryan Murphy, so I think everyone kind of went into it knowing it's not necessarily going to be what you think it's going to be. Yes, you're going to see some very twisted admittedly violent moments and understand how she became this iconic cinematic villain that she became, but you're also going to understand who she was and why she did the things she did, the trauma of her childhood, her complicated relationship with her brother, her being in the closet for a long time because of the times that she lived in, the patriarchy at work. It's a lot going on in a very short amount of time. It has Sarah Paulson in the lead role and executive producing as well, and she is a proven HFPA favorite. So that kind of feels like that pushes this show forward a little bit. I don't know if I would say front runner just yet. It's still kind of early, but I mean, it's definitely proven that, you know, they love the team of Murphy and Paulson. So, Mike, I feel like we should talk about picks, about what we would vote for if we were members of the HFPA. Do you want to go first on this one?
Sure. I enthused about Lovecraft Country, and that's definitely one of my favorites of the year. So that would be a contender. But my heart keeps going back to The Crown, and I think it's for the reasons I talked about. You know, I was a kid when the events of this season took place, but I still remember them very well. And I remember now the lie of the romance between Charles and Diane, and curious about just who was this Margaret Thatcher and why is she kind of scary. And, you know, the things that we remember as kids, to see it now played out on the big screen. We know The Crown isn't a documentary. Some of these things were sort of tweaked for creative and dramatic license, but nonetheless, there's enough of a real story there to really fascinate and really sort of feel a new way for Princess Diana that we didn't even feel at the time, and a sympathy for some of these characters that perhaps sort of cuts through the facade of the mystery of the royal family. So if there's ever a season, honestly, and I know it's won the Globe before, but to me, if there's ever a season to award the Crown, the Globe, it would be this season. Now, how about you, Danielle? What's your pick?
Yeah, I mean, I feel very similarly about The Crown in the sense that I remember enough of it that I felt nostalgia for this season in a different way than I had for seasons past. But I want to actually pick Lovecraft Country. And honestly, I feel like a lot of the things you talked about are the reasons that I would pick it. I think the blending of genres that Misha Green did with the literal horror of creatures and magic and firework, and then the literal horror of the past and racism in America and Jim Crow laws and, you know, the 1921 Tulsa massacre. I think that's something that either one of those things on its own could have made a really interesting show. And when you put them together, it just defied my expectations. And as you mentioned, I mean, the acting is just a masterclass. And I feel like it was a little bit of a snub that they didn't get nominated individually, but that's why I want to see this show, or why I would vote for this show to win, because then you're celebrating everything at once. You know, it's the writing, it's the directing, it's the artisans, it's the acting. Was a show unlike anything I had seen in the past year, in the past few years. And I think to me, that's something that really stands out now in such a crowded landscape.
Well, that does it for this edition of Awards Circuit. I'm Michael Schneider.
I'm Danielle Turchiano. Thanks for watching.